This is Andy Pure for Boxing News. I'm joined by Lawrence Okolie here in Manchester. Lawrence, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Here we are, Richard Riakporhe. Saw you on Saturday. There were whispers it was going to be Richard, and it is in fact Richard next. A London rivalry finally coming to the fore. Do you feel like it was just natural? Do you always feel like you two were destined to cross at some point, regardless of the weight?
I don't know about destined, but it was always a possibility and we've made it happen.
You've had that experience of you've gradually been able to move up to heavyweight. Obviously, you went for a bridgerweight, and now then you went to had fight in heavyweight. Richard hasn't had that yet. Just in terms of the size and the natural development, how much of a factor do you feel like that could be, and how much of a benefit it'll be for yourself?
It's hard to say until the bell goes. I think he's a big enough guy. He's going to be just like any other heavyweight, do you know what I mean? But he might be, maybe it's even good for him because he'll be snappy. Do you know what I mean? But I think if we do get into later rounds, it is going to play a factor because I'm fitter than I was when I was a cruiserweight. I'm stronger, faster, and for me anyway, it's good because I'm more robust. So there's certain stuff that I couldn't do as a cruiserweight that I can do now, and it's going to show.
How much of a relief is it knowing that you don't need to make weight as well?
It's the best. It's the best. I'm eating. I'm enjoying. As I said, I'm punching hard and fast. For me, I look back at videos and footage of me training to make weight and how I looked. And at the time, I was like, oh my God, look at my six packs, yeah. But then now I look at oh my God, I was a skeleton. Where now it's like, okay, I'm more like the man I'm supposed to be.
Just one thing on the weight with yourself, obviously, when you did make your heavyweight debut, there was a lot of people questioning, is that going to be your continued weight or do you want to drop down? What do you feel like is going to be the perfect heavyweight weight for yourself?
For this fight, I'll probably be the same because I want to squash him. So it's like, but against certain heavyweights, I need to box a little bit differently. But for this fight, I need to be able to sort of plant my feet and sort of go to work with him and then work on him.
Is it a personal rivalry, Lawrence? Because a few times you've said that you want to take him out, you want to squash him, and it seems that Richard obviously carries those same aspirations going into this fight. Is it personal because of this long-standing feud?
Like I said, for me, every boxing match is personal because they're trying to change their life. I'm trying to change mine. The only way you're going to get is by beating me. The only way I'm going to get is by beating you. So that's all it is. In terms of personal, listen, I don't wish him to a horrible life. I just wish him to lose horribly to me.
Lawrence, again, it was brought up on stage that this rivalry's been going on for a number of years. What's the difference if it happening at heavyweight instead of if it had happened at cruiserweight?
Oh, well, I wouldn't have to make weight. So I now don't have to make weight. Making weight it'll probably be a different fight at cruiserweight because it would be me a little bit less robust. I'd have to maybe box a little bit more tentatively. Where in this one, I'm gonna surprise him.
Richard was making a few jokes on stage in terms of expecting some hugs from yourself. We know that in the past people comment on you having an awkward style. Are we expect to see you move away from those types of connotations, or?
I feel like you'll be surprised who's holding in this fight coming up. I think you'll be very surprised because when I watch him, albeit cruiserweight, this is heavyweight version, I see what sets him off to start holding, and it's exactly what I'm planning on doing. Not to get him to hold me, but I'm setting off certain work that I think he's going to be shocked by anyway when he sees what it's like with me actually fight time. I'm sweating, we're about to go to work. It's easy to talk about. We'll see anyway on the day.
You can see the natural size difference when you two were up on stage facing off. Yeah, you could see that.
It was really okay. Fair enough. He seems like a decent sized heavyweight. I don't know.
Do you look at him and did you start sizing him up there?
Yeah, obviously as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, okay, but he's a cruiserweight that's moved up. It sounds weird because I was really killing myself to make the weight. I don't know if he was, and now I'll be bigger than him on the day, but that's not enough. It's not just about the size; it's also about the way I throw my punches, when, and why. Anyway.
You said he's nervous when he's around you. You've got that kind of feeling when you're together. What gives you that feeling?
So you can just tell, you know what I mean? But it doesn't translate necessarily into the fight because some fighters cry before they go out to have fights and then they go out and win. So for me, it's not about that. But if you ask me the question, yeah, he's nervous, but it's a big show, big event. I've done it for the last half a decade, been in world title and that kind of level, where he's only just entered it.
Success in this fight, Lawrence, I'm sure you're looking at world title still, maybe getting on those big Saudi cards. but the winner of Whyte and Joyce, is that just as feasible for you, facing the winner of that fight?
My two hit list fights, God willing I get through this one, which I anticipate I will, it's got to be the winner of Joyce and Joyce and Dylan, and then the winner of Zhang and Kabayel. The Zhang and Kabayel one is a little bit tougher to nail down. Although I am WBC silver champion, it's going to take, lobbying and organisations and all that. But this one's easy to make. Yeah, I've smashed Richard. Let's go into the fight.
There's a bit of Dev stirring the pot up on stage between yourself and Dillian when you sat next to each other. Do you feel like that would be a fight you'd prefer?
Yes, it would. Obviously, I'd prefer to box Dylan than I would prefer to box Joyce. I would still box Joyce, but Dylan's I'll box Dylan even if he loses, because I just want that one out of my system. Same way, Chamberlain, I want it out of my system. Richard, I want it out of my system, and this another one I want out of my system. Just get it done and then move on.
Zhang Kabayel's an interesting one as well, Lawrence. Two very different styles. Yeah. What do you make of that fight firstly, and who would you prefer to see come out on top if you were to line yourself up with one of them?
I think it's a hard one to call. I think Zhang has the opportunity to stop Kabayel early. If not, Kabayel has shown he's got good body movement and sort of good hustle, so he might be able to outwork him in the late rounds and maybe pick up the last 6. So if he's able to nick one round before and then lose 5 other rounds and then win the last 6, he wins on a close fight, but we'll see.
One of the names I'm just going to throw at you before we wrap this up is a man who's been doing the DAZN live stream, Fabio Wardley. Yeah. Do you think you two could cross paths at some point?
Yeah, definitely. I think, if I do what I'm supposed to do, I think that's the fight that's definitely going to happen.
What have you made of his recent journey in the heavyweight division? Obviously, the victories against David, against Fraser, somebody you'll know well.
He's done nothing but great work. Do you know what I mean? He's won all of these fights, and he hasn't lost, and he's been on a good rampage. I think he's beaten some fighters that I respect. So you can't say nothing bad about him. But it's just, if you're saying would I fight him, yeah.
Final one from me, Lawrence. Anything you want to leave on? Anything you want to say to everybody ahead of April 5th?
No, just I'm just going to show and prove on April 5th. I could say all that I want to say, but I'm just going to go out there and keep this sort of momentum going of violence and building a new track record.
Lawrence, I appreciate your time. Good luck with the rest of camp and good luck on fight night.
Much love, thank you.